Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan.
Brainbeth Jason.
Hello,
I don't know
gangs
what
out
I
here.
do without Jason's countdown, by the way.
I don't
You guys
know.
missed the part where he's like, 3, 2.
It's from Wayne's
1.
World.
I know it's from Wayne's World.
Our
Like,
s- our
you don't have to
software-
count out loud. And he's like, you don't have to mouth the numbers either.
Right.
You don't. And Jay, you don't have to because our software tells us that we're going to be on in 5,
Yeah, but
4,
I need to tell
3.
Megan visually.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That is very true. Well, welcome to another Gen Pop audience case. I say that with
To you,
love
Jason.
for Jason so that he knows to rein it in so we don't get canceled.
That's right.
If you want the unhinged version of us, join Patreon. We don't censor anything over
we
there.
call those off the records, off the rails.
We do. Yep.
So,
And the
All right.
link's in the show notes. And with that, we have
Yeah.
a very, very special case today because it's
I'm
a
doing it.
case presented by Megan. It's been a long time
It
since
has.
I've got to just sit
I know.
and enjoy.
Since we went to video.
Yeah.
I had done a few, and then we went to video, and I haven't done one since.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk to you guys today about the chilling disappearance of Brandon Lawson.
Okay.
So this is a case that's been covered pretty often on some social media sites, and it got quite a bit of press, and it's just bizarre. I'm going to give credit to Krista Johnson from the San Angelo Standard Times from a 2018 and then 2022 article that were updated, as well as author by the name of Jordan Windnagel. Also not a book, but just postings that this person has made, who did the most complete coverage, I think, of this case, including the updates, of which I have some at least recent-ish things to close with. So Brandon Lawson was born in Fort Worth, Texas. Love Fort Worth, Texas. On November 18th, 1986, to Bradley and Kimberly Lawson. He grew up in a big family and appeared to have a happy childhood. He spent a lot of time outdoors with his brothers Kyle and Billy and his sister Brittany. He enjoyed fishing and camping, and he couldn't wait to get his own pickup truck. Like, that's a goal. So, you guys, this is by all accounts just a wholesome, normal Texas family.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So when Lawson was a junior in high school, he met sophomore Ladessa Lofton and asked for her number. When he approached her in the hallway, I want you guys to get a picture for who Brandon is. When he approaches her in the hallway, asking if she knew who she was, she probably responded, "No, am I supposed to?" Even though she'd seen him around. So he asked her to write her phone number down on a piece of paper. I swear there was already a number on there, she chuckled, but decided to give it to him anyway. His laugh, his personality, and his pretty blue eyes caught and kept her attention. Being with family was the most important thing to them, and they enjoyed doing things together like watching movies, going camping, and fishing. So living life to its fullest is what Lofton said. She indicates, "We weren't the perfect couple. We basically grew up together. We were babies when we got together, but we were happy. We loved each other." The couple became inseparable, and they went on to have 3 children together. Lofton also became a stepmother to Brandon Lawson's child from a previous relationship. They had been together for 10 years until the events that I'm about to tell you occurred.
Okay.
As an adult, he worked in the oil fields. He did face some legal troubles because, unfortunately, he came to struggle with addiction, specifically methamphetamine use.
Okay.
So on August 9th of 2013, this is kind of the fateful day, Brandon and Ladessa get into an argument at their house. Later interviews with Ladessa revealed that this was because, after having been sober from methamphetamines for around 6 months, Brandon had relapsed due to stress. So it doesn't sound like he has very healthy coping skills.
Right.
And this would be, unfortunately, the last time Ladessa and their children would see Brandon.
Oh, no. Okay.
He was 26 years old when he went missing on August 9th, 2013. It is a puzzling case for many reasons. Not only was Brandon in contact with his brother Kyle moments before he disappeared and throughout this entire night, but they were also in the same area, possibly yards apart. The basics are this. Brandon was in a fight with his long-term girlfriend, Ledessa, and left their home. His truck ran out of gas, and he called and asked his brother to bring a gas can. When Kyle gets there, Brandon is not in the vehicle. They spoke on the phone then, and a police officer pulls up behind Brandon's truck. And Brandon is on the phone with his brother Kyle, who's there at the scene, and he says to his brother, "One time, run." According to Kyle, this means law enforcement, run. So apparently, somehow, Brandon was close enough to observe what was happening at his truck.
Okay.
And sees his brother and even sees law enforcement roll up, but no one at the scene ever sees him. When Kyle refuses to run from the cops, Brandon hangs up on him. This detail makes the case even more confusing because Brandon himself had called 911 before Kyle had even arrived with the gas can to his truck. I'm going to go over timelines with you because I see Jason's face right now.
Wheels are spinning. And
Deputy Neal, he's the sheriff's deputy in this case, investigating officer, arrived at Brandon's pickup just after 1 a.m. after dispatch received a 911 call from a trucker along US 277 that reported Brandon's F-150 obstructing traffic by being over the white line. Now, the last gas station before Bronte is in San Angelo, a distance of about 30 miles between one another. So Deputy Neal had responded to plenty of calls of people running out of gas in that stretch. When he arrived at Brandon's pickup, Brandon wasn't there, but Kyle was just pulling up. Kyle says that Brandon indicated, "I can see you, I'm right here." Although he says he couldn't see his brother anywhere. Well, Brandon had an active warrant out for him at the time.
Okay.
Out of Johnson County for possession with intent to deliver.
Okay, so he is purposely remaining unfindable.
I think this can be inferred. And at the time, Kyle is then assuming Brandon's hiding to avoid getting in trouble with the police.
Sure.
At that time, though, neither Deputy Neal nor Brother Kyle actually know about this 911 call that Brandon had made. The only 911 call that Deputy Neal's responding to right now is the trucker that said, "Hey, there's a car. It's kind of blocking traffic driving down the road."
Got ya. Okay.
So I'm going to go through a complete timeline of events.
So really, there's 3 calls here. We have the call to Kyle. We have, and then 2 911 calls.
There are multiple calls to many people.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So we're on August 8th, 2013. Just kind of the night before he disappears.
Okay.
Approximately 10:45 to 11 is when Brandon and Ledessa get in their argument. Again, she believes, and it's important to go over all these little things. The argument was because she believed Brandon was on drugs. She told him to get out.
Okay.
Kyle later confirms that Brandon had done methamphetamines prior to his disappearance. And Brandon had ongoing issues with substance abuse. And as we know, he'd only been clean for about 6 months in relapse. This is not uncommon.
Right.
11:54 p.m., Brandon leaves the house where he lives with his significant other and children in San Angelo, Texas. It is believed he was heading to his dad's house near Fort Worth, Texas, to a town called Crowley. August 9th is here, so it's just half an hour later, 45 minutes later, approximately 12:30 a.m. is when Brandon calls his brother Kyle to say he ran out of gas while on US 277 toward Bronte, Texas. Kyle, when he goes to pick up his brother, remember he goes to bring him the gas can, actually has his girlfriend. Some people said it was his wife, by the way, so I'm not sure. It was either his girlfriend or wife, but irrespective, his significant other, and their young son in the car at 12:30 a.m., right? It's a little weird.
Okay.
But he heads over to Ledessa's first because they need to pick up a gas can. So Ledessa's kicked him out at between 10:45 and 11. She's probably assuming everything's still fine because at 12:30 a.m., the brother shows up at her house and I got to go bring Brandon gas. Okay. And he picks up a gas can.
She'd have no reason to believe otherwise at this point in time.
12:50 a.m. gets here. So this is roughly 40 minutes after the call for gas. Brandon calls 911, which at that time rang into a local nursing home in Robert Lee. This must be one of these small towns where they actually have the operator dispatch agent out of just someplace local, and it happened to be at a nursing home.
Oh, shit.
The 911 call is unclear and disturbing, and I was going to play it, but I'm just going to tell you it's really hard. So I'm going to go through what I believe was there and then kind of more of a transcript of it at some point, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is how it goes. Yes, I'm in the middle of a field, then something inaudible. Push some guys over, right here going toward Abilene, on both sides, Lawson says. This is according to a transcript. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. The guy's chasing, inaudible, to the woods. Please hurry.
Okay.
He also says, according to the transcript, we're not talking to him, inaudible. I told you I ran into him. That's the first guy. The station reported that when the 911 operator asks Lawson if he needs an ambulance, he replies, no, I need the cops. This is at 12:50. 1 minute later, so he hangs up with 911. Kyle calls Brandon and leaves a voicemail because Brandon's on the phone with 911, okay?
Yep.
12:51, Brandon calls Lofton, but she didn't answer. So he gets off the phone with 911. Simultaneously, his brother's trying to call him, and then he calls his girlfriend, but she doesn't answer. After their fight and lacking a wall charger, she had taken her phone out to her car to charge. 12:52. Okay. This is 2 minutes after the 911 call. His brother Kyle's wife, so his sister-in-law, she calls Brandon, and he doesn't answer, and then she calls again. 2 minutes later at 12:54. Kyle calls Brandon. 12:57, Brandon's phone comes through as calling his neighbor back home. I don't know that he ever picked up. It just says he called his neighbor. So this is about 6 minutes after the 911 call. Okay. And my guess, I'm just guessing at this point, so many people are trying to call Brandon, and he's on the phone with either 911 and attempting to make phone calls to his neighbor and people that he's not answering.
Right.
12:58, Brandon calls Kyle and then called again. 12:58, the same time that he's trying to call Kyle, the neighbor's trying to call him back 3 different times.
Oh, gosh.
At the same minute, 12:58, this is when the passing truck driver calls 911 to report the abandoned truck on the side of the highway and that it was parked with the tail end hanging over the white line. 12:59, brother Kyle, calls Brandon again. Doesn't answer. 1:04 a.m., the dispatcher at the nursing facility calls Brandon back, trying to get more information about his location and what was wrong. She leaves a voicemail and calls again. 1:09. Brandon is still using his phone because he calls Kyle 3 times.
Okay.
Then at 1:12, Kyle calls Brandon 3 times. It's not telling me whether anybody answered either of these times. This is just documentation that there were calls made. 1:15 a.m., Brandon calls his brother Kyle twice. These are the last calls he made from his phone. 1:18 a.m., Kyle calls Brandon to find his exact location. Brandon answers. He sounds out of breath, like he was running, and he claims he's bleeding from tripping on some rocks, and he told them to hurry before hanging up. Oh. This is what he says. 3 expletives, I'm assuming motherfuckers, are chasing me out of town. This is what he tells his brother. When Brandon said it was the Mexicans in the neighborhood, Kyle asked him, are you tripping? Is it drugs? Like he's thinking it's drugs causing you to hallucinate. Right. But Brandon denies that it's all in his head. He's saying, no, he's not tripping. No, it's not drugs. I'm being chased. Kyle went over to Brandon and Lofton's house less than a mile away to get the gas can. Then he heads out of town with his wife at the time and the 4-year-old son. So just so you know, this is when in time that's happening now. He's arriving around this time. The brothers keep making phone calls to one another, but Kyle said that Brandon would not have a full conversation with him, more or less saying a sentence or two and then hanging up. 1:19 a.m., all of his phone calls began going straight to voicemail. But then at 1:30, Kyle arrives at Brandon's truck, seeing he's not in the vehicle, and then he does answer the phone here. This is where the phone call happens that's just, in Kyle's perspective, freaking weird, because he says one time, run. And Kyle responds, I'm not going to. And Brandon says, where's your pride, motherfucker? Then hangs up. Approximately 1:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m., those 3 hours. The details are a little unclear. But Kyle says that during this time, he is driving up and down the highway looking for Brandon. At some point, he did leave to go get his child some food because he has a child with him at 1:30 to 4:30 a.m.
Right.
Hey, when you don't have childcare, you don't have childcare. After we returned around 4:30 a.m. to get his son food, he returned to search, I think possibly with friends this time.
Okay.
At 4 a.m., LaDessa woke up and noticed multiple missed calls from Kyle, Brandon, and Brandon's mom because she had gone out to her van to get her phone off of the charger. She tries to call Brandon back, but his phone continuously rings. She assumes he doesn't have service. She eventually speaks to Kyle, and he tells her that he's at the truck, but they haven't been able to find Brandon. So now she's worried. 7 a.m., Kyle's still thinking, I mean, he clearly saw me, right?
Yeah.
And he's just gone now, and I can't find my brother, and he stopped responding. So he puts gas in Brandon's truck that's on the side of the road and leaves. But
with the truck.
Nope,
No.
he leaves the
he
truck
leaves
there.
the truck. Okay.
He just puts gas in it.
Thinking he's going to come
Yeah.
back to his truck. There'll be
Yeah.
a gas in it. And
Brandon didn't want to be around if the police were there.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I seriously think that Kyle's thinking, you know, he's going to do a good thing here. The police aren't there at that moment. They had left as well. And I think I know they're searching for him based off of other reports. So he's like, you know what? If he's watching me, if he's seeing me, I'm just going to put gas in his truck and I'm going to leave. And
Yeah.
then maybe he'll leave in his truck.
That makes sense.
Well, about an hour and a half later, 8:30 a.m., sometime between 8:30 and 9, the sheriff's department does come back, though, and they have Brandon's truck towed. They can't have it sitting there
Right.
impeding traffic, and there was this hour and a half then where he does not come and get his truck. So I'm going to go over some important details. Some is a little repetitive, but I want your guys' insights. So we know Brandon has an outstanding warrant.
Yes.
Kyle believes this is the reason that Brandon was hiding from the officer. Right, duh. We know that.
Yeah.
At least we think. He did not know still that Brandon had called 911. When Brandon told Kyle he was bleeding, Kyle had just assumed originally that he'd tripped or, you live in Texas, when he thought maybe he just ran into a cactus.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That would happen to you, by the
Right.
way.
Those are not fears
They're
we have to
everywhere.
have
Right.
here,
You
but I
tripped over an armadillo.
yeah, I certainly don't want to.
Brandon never told him that he'd been attacked or anyone else present at that night at that point. Brandon had been experiencing paranoia that day. He told Kyle that LaDessa had people from their neighborhood after them. Okay?
LaDessa had
He
people
told Kyle
from their
that
neighborhood.
LaDessa had people from their neighborhood after him. And remember, he made a weird comment at one point in time to the 911 operator about the
Yes.
Mexicans in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Well, and I think he may have said that to Kyle, too, who asked if he was tripping.
Yes.
LaDessa says, she was interviewed, obviously, doesn't know why Brandon said that. And Kyle is adamant that he felt like his brother was simply being paranoid at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Law enforcement initially suspects that Kyle was involved, either by helping Brandon run away or due to foul play.
Okay.
Okay? Have either of you thought this yet, that
No.
brother Kyle might have something to do?
No.
Okay, well, you're going to feel better then because Kyle agrees to take a polygraph. He gets administered 2 and he passes both of them.
Yeah, it just didn't.
Okay.
It just
There's
didn't cross my mind.
not at all.
Right. It didn't to me either.
I
But
thought maybe
he
I
was
just
a
really
POI.
missed something
Yeah.
that should
Nope.
have popped a red
No,
flag.
they
but
just they suspected that he was involved. I mean, I'm sure, let's be clear. I bet Kyle wasn't super cooperative with the police as he's driving back and forth and his brother's like, run.
Right.
You know,
I mean, Kyle's probably not an angel.
I think
with the law
Kyle is
enforcement.
probably used. I don't know that any indication Kyle's been in trouble, but his brother has been. And he's been the brother of a methamphetamine addict for some time. And he's
Well,
probably used to protecting
Yeah,
him.
he's used to protecting, used to covering up for him and cleaning up his mess and lying to the police.
You know, tone and body language go a long way, and we don't know the type of tone and body language he was using when dealing with the police. So that might have
Fair.
set them off just immediately down
I
that
do
path.
think somebody driving around with their very young child, I believe under 3, and their significant other in the car, searching for hours up and down the road,
to bring your girlfriend and kid with you
wouldn't necessarily.
when you could have left them at home.
at 1:30 or whenever he left the house at midnight.
Especially if you were up to no good, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like, hey,
So
I'm going to bring you along while I go.
I don't know. It's almost more of a reason why I'm like, I don't
Felonious.
think he was involved because he's got his. There's more. Why would you want more witnesses? His significant other could potentially flip on him at any time.
Yeah,
so.
unless she was in on it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
haven't- I mean, there's no information we have to
None.
think that they would do that.
And you're not going to get any more.
Okay.
This
I mean,
is this is all we're getting because I don't think there's anything else that would
Only
indicate.
person we know that's mad at him is his girlfriend, and she doesn't seem like she's
And she
made
slept
him
through most
disappear.
of this.
Yes.
right. We assume she was home.
Right.
Yeah.
She certainly wasn't using her phone. If she, I mean, I think we have
Right.
to think if there was a person who had done something wrong, her phone would have indicated some weird shit happening, contacting people, attempting to do something to dispose of. Instead, she goes out, plugs her phone in the car, and then freaks out in the morning when she finds out that
Why'd she
he's
plug
lost.
it in the car and not the house?
She only had a car charger.
Yeah, she didn't have a wall charger.
This, yeah. This, what
Details, she said that, Jay.
yeah. Okay.
Say, I would leave my phone in my car and be like, check the GPS on my phone. It was in my car that I was parked in my house all day,
Right,
and then
right.
go out and do something awful. Hypothetically,
Hypothetically, just in case law enforcement's listening and
case
needs to know how Jason
anything
plans to
ever
get
happens
out
and
of
my name's
trouble.
involved,
Yeah, can't use his phone as any sort of
Right.
alibi.
I would give it to you and be like,
Collaboration.
why don't you post some shit on Facebook coming from my account? I'll be back tomorrow.
I'm pretending
okay.
I'm not hearing any of this. I don't want to be an accessory in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to talk to you about the area where Brandon disappeared. So this area has been searched many times,
I
like
bet.
over and over on foot and from a bird's eye view. They've used thermal imaging cameras.
Is it wooded?
I'm going to get to it.
Okay, sorry.
No, great question. Plane searches and cadaver dogs, all
Okay.
used in this time frame and days after when this happened too. There was a private investigator that was hired by the Lawsons who searched by a helicopter. So they even hired a
Dang.
private investigator to search. So the terrain in the area where Brandon disappeared in Texas is extremely rough. It is known to be inhabited by wild hogs and rattlesnakes.
Ugh,
This
it was the hogs.
This is his last known location. He was right next to the Colorado River, which was experiencing severe droughts at that time. The river was said to only be knee-deep at its highest.
Okay.
Some listeners of the 911 call believe they can hear gunshots in the background, but
That's not the rattlesnakes.
other people say, and Kyle listened to it too in his opinion as the brother who's not a POI anymore, says that's the noise of cars driving on the bridge over the Colorado River.
Okay.
According to this San Angelo news article that I've referred to at the beginning, here's another weird thing. Brandon had withdrawn from his 401k before his disappearance.
I don't like that.
This is confirmed.
I don't like it.
Okay, but remember, he's also using methamphetamines too, so he may not be making great
True.
decisions.
True.
This is confirmed by Ledessa in the article, though she's unaware of whether he received the money. His last paycheck, however, was direct deposited on the night he went missing, and it was never withdrawn.
Okay.
So his last paycheck was never taken or used by anybody, and he never withdrew that money. But before, and it doesn't say whether it was days or weeks before he disappeared, he had withdrawn some amount of money from his 401k.
Well, the police would be able to see if whether or not it was deposited into his account.
They have not posed a reason why Brandon would want to disappear voluntarily.
He's just got a warrant.
If
I
you
mean,
use, you have a warrant. If you use methamphetamine and you withdraw money, what might you want to use that money for?
More meth.
Right, of course.
Or
you're
more
gonna,
meth, or
But he's not using his debit card.
he could be in
He could
trouble
be,
with drug
I was
dealers,
gonna say, he
guys.
could be paying off his drug dealer. However, I would think that the police would have been able to see if he actually received that money or not, and then if it was then missing from his account.
Well, we knew he withdrew it, but she doesn't know again whether
Okay.
where the money. We don't know where the money was.
I'm sorry. I needed clarification. When you said withdrew it, I was thinking simply one transaction withdrawing from his 401k,
Yes.
in which case then it would need to be deposited into his bank account and then withdrawn again. So he did access it.
He withdrew from his 401k. We don't know what he did with it.
Okay.
It was never known to have been deposited into his bank account or anything. So if he withdrew it and got it, he had it with him.
Okay. Because maybe there's a way, I mean, it's not an option on ours, but maybe there is a way that you cannot have it deposited and just get it in another form, like a
and it
cashier's
doesn't-
check or
so
something
good call.
like
It doesn't
that.
say too. Is it possible it was transferred into his bank account and then taken from there as well?
Right.
We don't know.
Okay.
Did his brother confirm that the truck was actually out of gas?
No, he did not. Because
just
if
put
you
gas
recall,
in it.
Jason, he had told him he was out of gas, so he just
So
put
he
gas
just
in the
went and put
tank on the
gas
side
in
of the
it.
road.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think it would track a large amount that you would get from a 401k would be to pay off someone you're in trouble with.
Right.
Which
And
would
it doesn't
track.
indicate the money, the specific amount either. But remember, guys, this is an active investigation, and we may not have all of the
Yeah,
information.
of course.
Well, you said Brandon had a criminal charge for possession with intent to distribute,
To deliver, yeah.
deliver.
Yeah.
So he got that from someone.
Yeah.
He got a large amount of drugs from someone.
Well, I can tell you this. If I knew that I had a warrant and I knew what the cash bond was on it, I too might withdraw some money and carry my bond around with me just in case I got picked up on that charge so I could bond out right away. I'm just throwing that out there because I don't ever see that was something that was brought up as a possibility either. But people who've been in trouble with the law, especially my, drug addicts and stuff, they're savvy when it comes to their bonds.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, none of Brandon's items, like his phone, keys, or wallet, have ever been recovered. And after helicopter searches, this is the Coke County Sheriff's Office, they assert they have never seen anywhere in that area any sign of a struggle. One spot underneath a tree appeared to have indentation marks. The sheriff believes it's possible this is where Brandon was crouching, watching Kyle and the officer at his truck, if that happened.
That's a big area though, guys.
Yeah.
But
it was
weather
near enough.
happens, and I can just see why it would be really difficult to track this, to track him.
but the
there
river,
was no
the river
blood.
was low. He didn't get sucked down the river.
No.
To not find any. I mean, if hogs aren't going to eat his boots, I don't think.
I mean, they will
They'd
eat
eat
just
him.
about
They
anything.
eat his clothes and his phone.
I don't
No,
think so.
I don't think it. I mean,
I've never seen a hog eat a phone before, but you never know.
no. Stranger things have happened, I'm sure. But
So we're going to go through some theories here and like what people think.
okay,
So Deputy Neal, he's the deputy from the Coke County Sheriff's Office that was initially involved. He thinks Brandon walked back to the highway and got a ride.
okay,
Law enforcement at this time frame unanimously reports that foul play, in their opinion, was not a factor and believes a body would have been found if Brandon was still in Coke County. But the Lawsons assert that Brandon would never have left his family, and Kyle, the brother, denies he was hallucinating from drugs based off of the conversations he had with them. But you have to remember, Kyle did ask him if he was tripping at one point too. But apparently he believed Brandon when he responded, "No, I'm not."
and maybe because Brandon has always been honest about that in the past, and letting him know when he's using.
There is a Facebook page you can go on to, the family has, for Brandon as well. I got quite a bit of information and a feel for him off of that. And very many of those people that post, family, friends, and other supporters, believe that 911 call is pointing to foul play. Others, however, maybe people not as close to the family or, like our true crime listeners here, they hear the recording, which you can go listen to. I did read you the transcript, as a sign of a drug-induced mania of some kind and believe that Brandon succumbed to the elements somewhere.
Okay.
So there's no shortage of conspiracy theories in this case. There's been the claim that he was abducted by a drug cartel, and no offense here, but specifically a Mexican drug cartel based off of a statement that he made. Or
And their location.
the trucker that called 911. Well, that poor guy. He just calls 911 to report a car off the
Now
road.
he's being implicated or accused.
I just am going to throw out there that I do feel like if a semi-truck driver abducted a person off the side of the road, probably not going to call and report the car that they just abducted the
They're not
person
going to be
from.
concerned about the car. Yeah.
Right. There's also been allegations of a police cover-up. I don't really have any indication of that.
Why? I think that's just a lot of people's go-to
When
when they don't even have evidence
not
of
everybody
it.
likes the police. And
Right.
there were things in the investigation that could have gone better, and you're going to see
Sure.
why
They,
soon.
I could swallow the fact that maybe the sheriff's department didn't try real hard because they knew the guy and they're like, there's no signs or anything. We're just done.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not that important for them to cover something up.
But we have a 26-year-old father of 4 who has vanished into thin air at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Honestly, that looks worse for the police that they couldn't find him than it would be. I doubt that he had something on them that they would need to cover up. I mean, that just.
So that U.S. Highway 277 stretch that's north of San Angelo and right before Bronte, population, by the way, not quite 1,000.
Wow.
So desolate, 2-lane highway.
Okay.
And
this is what I was picturing, as a matter of fact.
You're right. And Deputy Neal says in his description of the area, a person can probably lie down in the middle of the road and not worry about being run over.
Okay.
Like that is how often it's traveled, or large stretches of time before other cars go by.
Sounds vast.
So I'm going to talk to you about Kyle for a minute. He has explained in interviews, and remember, he's passed 2 polys.
Right.
Kyle tells Deputy Neal that the pickup belonged to Brandon, and he was walking down the road, but his phone keeps losing reception, purposely leaving out the fact that Brandon said he was close by. Okay? Something I didn't tell you earlier.
Okay.
So when he first comes into contact with Deputy Neal, who's responding to this vehicle, and Kyle's there looking for his brother, he is walking along. Again, his phone is losing reception. He's indicating, and he does leave out the fact to the police officer that Brandon's on the phone.
So
and,
he
and told him to
withheld
run.
information.
Yes.
Okay.
Kyle says,
knowing why he did.
Yes. Kyle says, at the time, I didn't feel that he was in any danger.
Right.
Okay. After Kyle and Deputy Neal finish talking, Kyle decides to drive away. And remember, he stays to drive around for a while. But what he does is he parks up the road a bit to see if his brother would come out once the deputy left. And the deputy does end up leaving. That's why Kyle's there for that period of time. He said he was there for a good, he says 30 to 45 minutes, but I think that was just at one time. He's been back multiple times. And he eventually leaves. This is when his son is hungry and crying. He wasn't able to put gas in the can because his check hadn't hit his bank account yet. So that's when he left. He left it in the bed of the pickup thinking Brandon, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot this part, guys. This is where I find it weird because he had originally reported that he had put gas in his brother's truck and then it was towed about an hour and a half later. And I put a note on this. In a newspaper article, though, he says he never went back to actually put gas in the can. He just got the gas can and then left it in the bed of the pickup truck thinking Brandon would just be able to walk to the gas station and fill it.
Okay.
So that is the one weird thing I put a star next to that I find strange.
There's a discrepancy there.
There is.
Some are reporting that he got gas, put it in the vehicle, and waited for him to come, and others, okay.
But then listen, and then he goes, so I go back to San Angelo, I get food for my kid and stuff. I figure, okay, he's just out there. He's hiding because of the police. He's going to be out there whenever I go back. When I take the gas next time, when I actually bring gas, maybe the police officer will be gone by then. When he did get back to the pickup about 5 a.m., his recollection, Brandon's nowhere to be found, and he says, I hollered and screamed my brother's name, and he never came out. Because the pickup had been over the line, and again, Brandon was the only one with the key at that point, that's why the truck gets towed. That's why they don't move it or take it, because if I didn't tell you before, the key was never left in the truck.
You said his keys and wallet and phone were never found.
So the sheriff's office, Deputy Neal, just so we're aware of how this investigation goes, he does canvass and he checks the homes and properties of owners in the area. People who were gone, because many people actually in the area use their land seasonally. Oh. So he was looking to see if anything had been disturbed or for signs someone might have gotten water from them or stolen anything from them, and he didn't find anything. Later that day, he did check the same area with the thermal imaging camera, but didn't register any type of human-sized heat signature. So that's important because you're going to pick up jackrabbits and all kinds of stuff on there. On August 11th, Deputy Neal reported that there was a small private search team that gathered at 8 a.m. and they ended their search around noon. The only sign of anyone being in the area, he said, was that spot under the tree where, again, we indicated someone looks like they might have sat close to the roadway, but he says this would have been within eyesight of where the pickup broke down and where Kyle pulled up. Texas Ranger Lieutenant Dwayne Gull met with Deputy Neal and the Coke County Sheriff Wayne McCutcheon about the case on August 12th. Neal reported Gull came to the same conclusion, and he and McCutcheon, that in their opinion, Lawson is possibly no longer in Coke County, but would see about making arrangements on the availability of a DPS helicopter at that point. Lofton, girlfriend, comes to the sheriff's office to officially file a missing persons report on Tuesday, August 13th. And just so you guys know, that's probably because they made her wait, right?
Right, yes.
They're waiting to see if he gets in contact with her. The same day, Texas Ranger Nick Hanna, who is now, at least at the time this was reported, was the lead investigator on the case, he comes to Coke County to take a helicopter ride over the area from the Colorado River south and along both sides of US 277 where Brandon's pickup was. It was determined that Lawson was not on the ground due to the fact that there was a lot of exposed bare ground, even under short mesquite and cedar bushes.
Okay.
So we're not talking tall trees and stuff here. This is
Right.
open Texas land for any of you that are know that area. His report is concluded with the opinion that, quote unquote, Brandon Lawson is not in Coke County, lost or hiding. Based on Kyle's revelation that Brandon was hiding in the brush near his pickup to avoid being discovered by Neil, not seeing any indication of foul play in or around the pickup, and the text messages between Brandon and Lofton detailing the severity of their fight that night. His belief, he reported, is that after he and Kyle left the pickup, Lawson walked back to the roadway and was able to get a ride from a passing motorist. Years later...
But a passing motorist never comes forward?
No one's ever come forward in this case that they picked anybody up, that there
Yeah.
was a hitchhiker. He was never seen. It is remote,
That's why
though.
I'm
Remember.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
yeah.
a area where you want to be hitchhiking.
Or picking people up at.
Well,
Either, yeah. Like, I want to pick up a hitchhiker in that area unless you're...
well, and you guys agree, and this is so desolate. So even years later, Deputy Niels believes that Brandon's continued absence just to strengthen that he believes that he's just not there. When he goes missing, Coke County was in the middle of a bad drought. And during that plane search, he said, and this is how specific when I'm talking about bare ground, they were able to spot corn sacks from the air.
Oh, geez.
He said, if you can see those from the plane, you can see someone lying down.
Yes.
At that time, the drought was so bad, leaves were drying up and everything, he said, adding that the river at that time was low, the deepest point just reaching his knee. If anyone wants to be gone, they can, he said. Remember, Brandon had an active warrant, which could be a contributing factor for why he's gone. Again, in addition to the warrant, he had cashed in that and this says cashed in his 401k now.
Yeah.
With, and it was, he worked for Renegade Oil Services.
Okay.
So I think he had a pretty good job.
Sure.
Several months after his disappearance, Kyle, brother, was asked to meet Ranger Hannah, Sheriff McCutcheon, and an investigator from Johnson County where Brandon's warrant had been issued, so the neighboring county, to answer questions. They asked Kyle whether he had hurt his brother or given him a ride somewhere, and Kyle eventually said, I want to take Polly. He indicates, they said I passed...
His idea.
He said I passed the one on harming, but they tried to say the first one was faulty because I'd coughed a few times during the test. Okay?
Is that a thing?
No.
But
And
you
I find it to be a weird statement.
Control when you cough.
Right.
Okay.
And I
okay.
also want to point out here, too, that in terms of passing polygraph tests, one, they're not admissible in court. They might be in a police report or some type of documentation, but we don't know who reported that Kyle took the polys other than Kyle.
Right.
Like, he's reporting he took them and he
Right.
passed.
Right.
If Brandon
That's a
were
good point.
intentionally harmed by someone, there are endless ways it could have occurred. The Lawson family has wondered whether someone was actually following him that night, whether he stumbled on someone's land and never left, whether his death was a crime of opportunity for someone passing. There's your, hitchhiker theory.
Yeah.
As for Ladessa Lawson, their fight that night, she said, was a result of several factors. So now we're talking about Ladessa. Just to know a little bit more about what happened that evening, she said, we were stressed out. He was working over 60 hours a week, and they had 3 kids in the house. The youngest of their children, their younger son, was only a few months old. For a long time, she said, I blame myself. She does say that she regrets the words spoken during their fight because she can never get those words back. For her and their children, the 911 call contains the last words that they have from Brandon. Her 2 older girls listened to it on YouTube, trying to make sense of what their dad was saying.
Oh, no.
She said, it just hurts me that I can't find him for them. As a mother, you don't ever want your children to go through pain. Brad Lawson, this is Papa Lawson. This is the dad of Brandon and Kyle. He does not believe his son deserted the family. Something happened that night, and it wasn't him meeting some girl and driving off somewhere.
Right.
I'm assuming that was something people were saying.
I'm sure.
In his
People
opinion,
say a lot of shit.
well, and in his opinion, and I like this insight from Dad, he doesn't think the warrant would have been enough motivation. He says, Brandon's already done some state jail time, and Brandon wasn't afraid to take the punishment that was dealt.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a warrant for like multiple homicides.
No.
It had some drugs or whatever.
I mean, in
else it
Michigan,
was.
a PWID's like a 10-year, but it's not. You don't typically get 10 years, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he continues to say, no, I don't believe that for a minute. It took a lot more than that to scare Brandon, a warrant.
Sure.
Additionally, Brad said, Brandon was actually actively making future career plans. He had a whole new job he was going to be starting that Monday with more money and more benefits. His girlfriend, Lofton, said she knows Brandon initiated the process of cashing his 401k, but she's been consistent. She does not know if he ever got the money, but she does know that his last check was direct deposited into his account and was never withdrawn. It did eventually go to the state to cover child support for his eldest daughter. So she never tries to even take or withdraw any money, you guys, from any of his accounts. It goes, it ends up getting taken to the state.
So for the people that might say that she had some
financial motivation,
his disappearance, it just doesn't track that way.
Brandon went up missing in the dead of night. How far could he have actually gone in that terrain? His dad asked. How far could a man have gone in a pair of shorts with no water or anything to drink at all?
And didn't he tell his brother he was bleeding? There were no blood drops found with the dogs?
Great question, Charnell.
It's a big, vast area. I do understand that.
But they know the general area where they were in.
Yeah,
and
that he could be seen. He could see.
No report of that.
Okay.
And we know, because Kyle actually is thinking like he tripped over a damn cactus or something, right? He did indicate he was bleeding.
Yeah.
His brother, Kyle, says, for a person to have a wallet, keys, and full keychain, socks, shoes, shirt, and a wallet full of cards and money, and an ID, and a cell phone case, all of that stuff, and not one single thing has been found out there, I just don't understand that. He said, my brother might have been a felon, and he might have messed with drugs, and he might have relapsed. But my brother worked for what he had. He loved his children. He took care of his children. He was a good person. He wasn't some dope fiend living on the streets, robbing people or trying to get over on someone to get high again. So what he's saying is, he had a problem. Yeah, he was an addict. But he was like a functioning addict who was trying to do the best that he could.
Right. Yeah. He just had an addiction. He's trying to live and has an addiction.
So Texas Ranger Hannah, he has a different opinion than law enforcement.
Okay.
The other law enforcement.
Yeah.
He does indicate at the time that this article was written that he wasn't going to discuss Brandon's case because it's an active investigation. But Lofton says that the Texas Ranger told her, here's some hearsay, that he thinks Brandon's body is somewhere out there in that land. So he disagrees.
Okay. Now, do we mean buried?
He doesn't say.
Huh.
I'm not done. I'm going to fuck your world up, guys.
Oh, God. Okay. Let me emotionally prepare.
Jason wants to say something.
No, I'm just narrowing down on my theories.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Texas Ranger Hannah, he does provide information on, however, to family and to the reporters here on the efforts that they have made to locate Brandon and Bronte. They've made physical searches conducted on 4 occasions in August, September, October, and another in January of 2014, then February in 2014, and then last in July of 2014. The searches included 2 helicopters, ATVs, Texar, which is that radar, 6 cadaver dogs, and 4 different agencies at one time or another.
Okay. You know what we never take into consideration when we talk about stuff like this, though?
What?
Human error.
Fair.
Just plain missing it.
Yeah. There have been, since he went missing, Ranger Hannah says he's received hundreds of leads of possible sightings.
Really?
Probably thousands.
Oh.
All of which he has checked out, and they have been determined not to be Mr. Lawson. So
is he a pretty regular looking dude? Like,
he's a nice look. Yeah, he's a regular looking guy. He's a nice looking guy. If you pull up Brandon,
yeah, just easy to mistake, like for other, for someone else.
So I'm going to take you now to 2022 because we started in 14. In February of 2022, Ladessa Hendricks, now Lawson's fiance of 10 years prior to his disappearance, goes on the Concho Valley homepage and writes that a search team has found Lawson's shorts and shoes that would lead law enforcement to then find the cap of a skull by the end of the month, February 22.
Okay.
Lawson's father provides his own DNA to use for testing with the remains, and the test results indicated that the skull cap, this is the bone that is on the top of the skull, has an 82% genetic match. Hendricks and the Lawson family would then announce on December 25th of 2024 via a post in the Help Find Brandon Lawson Facebook group, which you can all go to. That's Help Find Brandon Lawson Facebook group, that the remains were confirmed to be Lawson's. Complications that arose prevented Lawson's remains from being released, though. They would go unreleased until July 18th, according to Hendricks, who also made a post, again, in the Help Find Brandon Lawson Facebook group the day afterward to announce that his remains had finally been released. So they're keeping people consistently posted on this Facebook page here recently in 2024, which is not too long ago, guys. It's like a year and a half ago. This is December of 2024.
I'm sorry, because I thought we were still in 22.
They were found in
22,
and we have
weren't released until 24.
The results weren't released until 2024.
Okay.
At least we know they weren't released to the family until then, because they wait until Christmas Day 2024 to post that there was a confirmation that the remains were Lawson's.
Okay.
She shares that the return of Lawson, again, that happened July 18th. So this is sometime 7 months or so after the confirmation.
Yeah.
That the return of the remains has afforded her and his family a rare moment to grieve following years of trying to find their loved one. His return home is also accompanied by an undercurrent of uncertainty. She disclosed she has still not been told what Lawson's cause of death was. It is considered a suspected homicide, but still no cause of death has been released. And this makes sense to me because this is an active investigation, guys.
Right.
She does thank local, statewide, national, and global communities that have provided support to her and the Lawson family throughout the years and inspired them to continue to search for the truth, and they're still searching for the truth of what happened on the morning of August 9th, 2013. Hendricks said, "There's people from all over the world that have reached out to me. There were days I was discouraged, and they would just say, 'Hey, we still have hope,' and it really just inspired all of us to keep going."
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank everyone that's been here and shared Brandon's story, and that's from the Facebook page. And that is where we are in the mysterious disappearance of Brandon
Can
Lawson.
you just go over one more time exactly where they found?
That's what I was going to ask. Where was...
It doesn't say.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, did I miss something, or
Nope.
did they leave that out intentionally because it's an active
I
investigation?
would. If I was law enforcement,
Yes.
I would not be. I mean, I'm glad that they disclosed to the family that some remains had been found, and then what was that one item? Was it his wallet? Why can't I remember?
Shorts and wallet?
Shorts and shoes?
Shorts and shoes, sorry.
Shorts and
It was
shoes.
shorts and shoes, and then after they found the shorts and shoes, they found a skull cap.
The skull cap.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know
But
where
did
I
they
got
find the
wallet
rest
from,
of them? Did it ever say, did they find his whole body?
Just remains.
Just a chunk of his head.
I mean,
And we don't have a cause of death.
Animal.
And there might not be enough to find a cause of death. Jason, you guys, at this point, we don't know enough. They haven't disclosed to us because this is an active investigation, and maybe they have thoughts, right?
Sure.
We don't know whether he was buried and like the skull cap raised, right?
Yes,
up into
right,
the dirt.
right.
We don't know.
They're gonna leave stuff out.
Yeah, we don't know what was done, and I'm sure that this is incredibly difficult for the family to not have some of that finality in terms of answers, but they're not going to release, especially if this is still considered a presumed homicide. And now they're going to consider this a suspected homicide because, I mean, he ended up dead in the middle of the, desert. There are still people who comment on here, though, that, what if he just wandered off and he died?
Right. Sure.
And
Sure.
so-
I mean, but that's, you know what, though? That's
Suspected
up for them
homicide.
to decide.
Suspected
I
homicide.
find it odd that if he left the house at a random point in time late at night after getting an argument with his girlfriend in a very desolate area, that some other potential drug dealers or cartel people would find him randomly.
If the drug dealer theory is true, he was followed out there, or he was making a meet in the middle of nowhere to exchange money or to pay off money if he owed people. And then they could have killed him or kidnapped him or even disposed of him later.
Just because you're having a fight with your significant other doesn't mean all the other stuff in your life stops.
Right.
He could be simultaneously been dealing with trying to shake some real bad people, and literally it all came to head. And you never know. His girl, that might have been part of the fight that they were having as well.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just, not also being released right now. And so I think that it's possible that he definitely was murdered by someone else. Because what doesn't track for me is he's from that area. He's familiar with the area. He was clearly watching his brother deal with the police at his truck. Why would he wander farther into the desert at that point in time when he knows he could legitimately just hide? His hiding spot was working.
Well, and that's what his family is on, right? And his brother. Like, if he was there and he was that close, he's waiting for the cops to leave. But you guys, if he's watching his brother, if Brandon is watching Kyle, I'm using a lot of he's here, appear there, and he's literally just waiting for the cops to leave. They're not there that long. How come he doesn't come out? He clearly saw him. He didn't indicate then that he was being chased, but he indicated to 911 beforehand that the brother never knew he made, that he was being chased, and that, no, I need the cops. Well, guess what? The cops showed up.
At the same time as his brother, though.
And
what
then
if
his
he's
brother
trying to
showed
protect
up?
his brother from whoever was also with him?
But he makes the statement, just this once, run. This is...
Well, is he trying to get his brother out of there so then he can show up with the cop and say, hey, these motherfuckers are following me?
I don't know. I find that hard to believe. This is one of those things that leads me to believe, and this is the part, sorry family out there, that if you're just kind of going off of my mind and how it works, hiding out, trying to stay in trouble, and had recently used and potentially was hallucinating, seeing things, feeling like things are chasing you guys, you can get a bad batch. Yeah. And if he'd been clean, reminder, he'd been clean for 6 months before this, and if he'd recently started using again,
gonna be what it
and
was.
This is when we see people OD a lot, right?
Sure.
We don't know what he was using for sure. I mean, his brother knew that he'd relapsed on methamphetamine. His significant other knew he'd relapsed on methamphetamine. But you guys, what if he was laced?
Yeah.
What if there's fentanyl in his shit? Like, there isn't a lot of it now. And he legit, was paranoid and then ran off and died.
Thought he was going one way and he was actually going the other. That's a viable possibility.
And since we don't know where his body was found, the other possibility is I'm completely fucking wrong. Somebody murdered him, and then they either took his body and dumped him back later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or dumped him and then he just didn't come up due to either human, dog, and electronic error. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know.
Like, there was a lot of searching that didn't result in anything.
Well, and if he just died on his own, so I'll negate my own theory now. If he just died on his own and passed out and died someplace, they would have found him.
Yeah.
You'd think.
Yeah, you would think.
Unless he hid someplace.
I truly just wonder if he wasn't willing to come out when he told his brother to run because he was afraid whoever was chasing him was going to kill the cop, the one police officer that's there, and his brother.
I think he might have been concerned about his brother, but I don't know if he would have cared about the cops that much. I mean...
No, what I actually meant, I didn't mean that he would care about the cop. I'm sorry to his family.
Just his brother.
But his brother, and that the cop wouldn't be able, only one of them, be able
to help him?
to defend. Yes.
Yeah, he told the 911 person, I need the cops, but...
Right.
Didn't respond again to her attempts to call him back, as 911 operators will often do. So,
gosh, I hate
a weird
this.
Case. Yeah, sorry. And the reason I brought it is I don't know that this was even it wasn't recommended by anybody. I ran across it listening to my own little morning TikToks in a very shortened version and went, I have to research this. This missing person is great. And I will tell you, at the time when I listened to that, I didn't know that they'd found remains recently.
Oh, okay.
I found that out as I was researching the case. So, you guys want me to bathe you a little bit?
I do. And someday I want you to give us an update if they ever do.
I will. I will keep track. If anybody, and you guys out there sometimes are
help us
quicker
keep track
than us. And if you know that there's been some movement in that case,
and we appreciate that. We're like 500 episodes into this business. Like, we need help.
I want to talk to you guys today about why it's important to choose the right person in a relationship.
Okay.
Or even just to sleep with.
Oh, definitely.
Because one day that girl goes crazy and she super glues your dick to your leg.
And this is really kind of along those lines. Okay?
Sure.
Wow,
you said that so fast.
Hypothetically, again.
Okay. So this is from a Facebook page called The Dude Humor Report. And I will tell you now, just to ruin it for everybody, this is satire.
Okay.
But it has to be based off of some real things.
Sure. Like, you know,
because I bet, Jason,
crazy
I bet
stuff.
you know this woman. Michigan woman arrested after signing ex-boyfriend up for 83 free trials using his email. Police say a 27-year-old woman turned a breakup into a subscription nightmare after allegedly signing her ex-boyfriend up for dozens of free trials, newsletters, and promotional mailing lists over a single week.
Is that a crime?
Diabolical.
According to investigators, the campaign began after she saw him post a photo captioned "Peace and quiet finally" 3 days after their breakup.
Now, that shit I have seen.
You done fucked up.
So that is real.
She
That part.
reportedly chose chaos. Over 7 days, the man's inbox was flooded with confirmation emails from 14 meal kit services, 9 cat adoption agencies.
Oh, God.
He doesn't have a cat. 11 timeshare presentations across 4 states, 6 hair loss treatment consultations, a bridal magazine subscription addressed to future Mrs. Nobody, 3 funeral planning services with the note "Just thinking ahead." His phone began ringing nonstop. A timeshare rep from Myrtle Beach reportedly called him 6 times in one afternoon. A cat rescue in Ohio emailed asking when he'd like to meet his new babies. The situation escalated when a mobile pet grooming van showed up at his apartment for a full groom appointment for 2 golden retrievers. He does not own dogs. Police traced the signups back to an IP address at her mother's house. When questioned, she reportedly told officers, "He said he wanted space. I gave him content." She was arrested on charges of harassment and identity misuse.
Would that be, like,
You
if this
can't-
was real?
Yeah, if you sign
Okay.
up for things in somebody else's name, you are
Okay.
technically stealing
That's
their
fraud.
identity.
Okay.
Yes. The ex has since changed his email, his phone, and his Instagram caption. One officer told reporters, "I've seen revenge plots, but I've never seen someone weaponize a mailing list."
But it's just enough to be annoying
Yes.
without totally harmful. The other thing I suggest, only because I recently did it,
What?
you could just sign, like, go on to Kelley Blue Book and put the VIN number of their vehicle in and
Yeah.
click the thing "I'm interested in selling my vehicle." All of the dealerships around will continuously call, email, and text.
That's hilarious. But you know, the only thing that's better than the satire are the posts from the actual humans who believe these things. And then you either lose
Please
faith in humanity.
read us. Read it.
Lilith says some heroes don't wear capes.
Okay, Lilith, this isn't real. Although some of
Yeah.
this, I
Oh,
agree
no, these
with
are
you.
based,
think
I
this
told
is-
you, these are based on true things that have happened.
Absolutely.
But the whole
Yes.
thing in the picture and everything that they posted was satirical. Probably
'cause
to
it's
to protect the innocent, right?
It's her fake mugshot,
Well,
right?
Josh says, "I'd say I can fix her, but she ain't broken." That's my kind of crazy.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Trisha says, "I need to be on that jury, not guilty by reason of pure genius."
Oh, now she's no longer ever going to have to serve jury
Yep.
duty, by the way, Trisha.
Sandra says, "Does she have a GoFundMe? Because I'm going to help her pay your legal fees."
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Oh, and then people admit to crimes here. So,
Oh, you've got to love the interwebs.
well, Jeanette says, "I did that once to my ex-husband's aunt. It was years ago when you could sign up for magazines and they would bill you. She claimed to be a Christian, so I signed her up for every porn mag that I could take the subscription slip out of at the grocery store. And
Oh
she
my
never knew it was me." Well, Jeanette, that's really shitty.
Oh, Jeanette, you just admitted to a crime.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
So, and
I
then
love
Brian simply ends this with the best statement possible, and he said, "That's a Michigan girl."
You know what?
And on
You're
that
right.
note,
You're
I
right.
had somebody who accused me of trying to play a practical joke on them.
well, did you?
I'm not admitting that on the record.
Because I know my rights.
I know my rights.
I know several people that have accused you rightfully
So
of it.
Me too.
I ended
That's what
up
I was
having my
asking.
phone number put up all over 2 counties with little pull tabs for boat repairs.
That's hilarious.
I don't know how to fix a boat.
No, I know. It's sitting at my house.
Yeah,
Your boat.
it hasn't been used in 2
unfixed.
years.
If you
'cause I
could
don't know how to
fix it,
fix it.
right? If you could,
And I
fix
got like
a
3
boat.
phone calls, and finally I'm like, "Where'd you get my number?" And the guy's like, "At that biker bar on 127."
Oh my gosh, Artesian
hilarious.
Wells.
The Wells?
And I was like, "Where?" He's like, "Oh, it's posted right here." I was like, "Can you take it down?" He's like, "How much you give me?" I'm like, "I'm not giving you shit."
Oh my gosh, he's actually bartering. Like, you could drive there and go take
Yeah.
it down yourself. He was
Well,
bartering.
there, and it was a couple other places.
Take
I
it down,
know-
or
I know
I'm
if-
going to go up there and put the number that came on
Right.
my caller ID as the number to
I
contact.
should have said that, but yeah, there was probably like at least and this guy legitimately needed his boat fixed.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
sure.
Because you're in a lake area.
Yeah, and
That's
now he's
where you're on a
pissed.
show.
No,
Now
he's
he's
like,
pissed.
no, really. I'm like,
No,
who is this?
you
He's
don't
like,
want
I got
me
you. Is this
fixing your
Jason? I'm
boat.
like, yeah, no, like, don't, yeah. I'll take your money, but the boat ain't getting fixed.
I know some law enforcement officers who used to.
You deserved that, didn't you?
Yeah, he did. Probably karma, but who used to sign each other up for subscriptions.
Oh,
and they
I
would
know
come
one,
to
too,
the
that
jail.
did it to
Yeah,
me.
Yeah. Oh, which one was it? Give me an initial.
The little one,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
our little friend.
Yes. But you thought that was funny, right?
And I'm not.
What did he have sent to you, Jason?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they're boner pills.
Yeah.
Great.
Not the
useful.
actual pills.
No, like I got like
the
they like
the
would-
paperwork.
they kept calling and emailing me.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to complete your purchase? I'm like,
Yeah,
"The
he
fuck?"
was worried for you. He
Yeah.
wanted to
He's
make
just
sure.
looking out
These
for your
were back-
nether yayas.
I'm not.
Well,
I'm
Jason
not-
was single then.
I'm not convinced that he's not the same one that put my fixed boat repair up too,
He might have been.
Might have been.
because someone put him up to it.
That's possible. You
That
never know.
thinks that I would do something.
Wow. I'm not
awful.
saying that you didn't do things that you might have deserved that for. So if
Some-
one of those people found out what you had done to them, perhaps they ate themselves some dinner at Artesian Wells and went, you know what?
Yeah,
You know what would
that's
look great
exactly
on
what
that
happened.
cork board?
Jason's
Right.
phone number
Jason's number and saying he can do boat
in
repairs.
duplicate 20 times.
Because
No
I know he's
tags.
got a boat. That's the only thing he ever
That's
posts
right.
on
Oh,
fucking
and they took
Facebook.
a picture, and it wasn't even my like. I don't know whether it was a picture of a random ass boat. It wasn't mine, and like it was like a whole thing.
That was probably better than your boat,
Yeah.
by the
Definitely.
way.
Like,
You know, your boat, the name
like small,
Skanctuary.
like small
A
engine and boat repair.
Skanctuary.
Right. Small engine and boat repair.
By the
called
way,
Jason.
Katie's going to make us a candle scent called Skanctuary.
Oh, we
Nice.
need that.
Just for you.
yeah.
It's going
Want it to
it's
smell
gonna
like-
smell like Love Spell from Victoria's Secret.
I think it should smell like leather, like boat leather, and like coconut.
What does boat leather smell
Boat leather and pina coladas.
Yeah.
Boat leather and
like
pina
coconut,
coladas.
like coconut sunscreen.
Skanctuary.
Yes, leather and sunscreen.
Yeah.
That's what
It's
it
true.
should.
Coconut is
Pleather.
a good idea.
Vinyl.
And like
Does vinyl have a smell?
it's
Yeah,
new- when
like
it's-
regrets.
when it's new, it
Vinyl
does.
smells like regret. You tell that to my new pair of pants. I'm gonna be
Exactly.
like Ross from Friends.
Right.
I'm kidding. I didn't
Before
do
you
that
know
to
it.
myself because I'm over 45.
Yeah.
You can't wear leather.
Honestly, I don't-
It's true what I just stated. I
Oh,
am
no,
over
you
45.
are.
I'm still under 50.
But I don't think anyone should really be donning leather pants
Oh.
in 2026.
I think Youngblood should continue to wear leather pants every time he performs. I
Youngblood.
think he should wear leather
There are
pants.
very
all
only
the time.
isolated specific incidences.
Agreed.
when
I
it-
can make
when
a
it should
list. It's
happen.
very short, but Youngblood's at the top of it. Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
He's just MILF candy
Well.
at this point to look at.
On that note,
Sorry.
we thank you all so much for listening, and we hope that you keep it curious. Did I fuck it up?
And keep listening.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Did I mess it up? I
No,
didn't mess it
you
up.
fucked it
No,
up by
I just-
questioning
I
yourself.
just
She was just
paused.
waiting.
You can't do that to me.
Hesitation caused you.
It did.
Oh,
It-
that was psychological warfare I just
it
committed on
was- you-
Charnell.
You just made me so insecure.
I'm so sorry.
Like you've never done.
Usually
this.
have that effect on men, not women.
Seriously, fine. We do hope that you keep it curious and keep listening. And until next time, bye-bye.
Just made us insignificant.
That's how you get back at people.
Yeah, used to chase the tears in a different kind of grind, helping little ones leaving our old selves behind. Charnell, Jason, Megan, a trio strong and true, but the system wore us out, needed something fresh and new. So we flipped the script, found the mic and the beat. From deep investigations to stories bittersweet. Prosecutor, the judge, that's Megan on the mic. Charnell digs the dirt, makes sure the facts are right. Crime curious, yeah, that's the name we claim. Shaking our grief, fanning the curious flame. From global listeners to the brain bag we provide. Keep it curious, keep listening with nowhere to hide. Jason's got the wisdom and the jokes to make us smile. Keeps the energy flowing for every single mile. We dive into the dark where the mysteries reside, unraveling the truth with nowhere left to hide. Laws and evidence, Megan lays it down with grace, while Charnell's deep research sets the compelling pace. Crime curious, yeah, that's the name we claim. Shaking our creek, fanning the curious flame. From global listeners to the brain bag we provide. Keep it curious, keep listening with nowhere to hide. we just keep. But every week we're digging secrets buried deep. For every mind that wonders, for every soul that seeks, we're here to break it down in our Crime Curious Speaks. Crime Curious, yeah, that's the name.